Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. You caught me in the middle of my dance moves, homie. Man, I'll be, as they say, splitting a rug. Anyways, man, don't challenge me, bro. It's not going to end well. Anyways, man, so we do have the Global Chess Championship, the absolute final going on. So I got another game between Wesley and Nihal Sarin. This is the third game that they played with each other. They played 4 total games today. So I was able to grab magically this next one, the game 3, like I said. So, of course, all of my people that are coming from the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Kamusta na aking makaibigan? Let me see. Hello ulit to you. Magandang umaga. It is 10:34 in the morning, so magandang apon. If you do see this in the afternoon, in the next couple of hours, you know, like. So, almusal tayo. Let's meet for breakfast, homie. It's still early enough. Probably late for some of you guys, but anybody who is coming from India, I will say namaskaram to you. And Nandi for stopping by. I appreciate you guys very much. Man, if you guys are ready to go, homie, let's take a look, see what we got for this game. So we got E4, we got G6, we got D4, Bishop to G7, we got Knight to C3, and this is the modern defense standard line. You know, like I told you guys the other day, I mean, I did a modern a couple of videos ago, and I was just saying, I mean, you can literally play this almost however you want as white. You know, you can go Bishop to E2s, you can go Knight to F3s, you can go F4 if you want to play that way. C4s, I mean, you know, you kind of have almost everything at your disposal. I mean, you also have Bishop to C4, even Bishop to F4 in these positions too. Like, nothing is really going to be, you know, too bad. You have this really beautiful center, so, I mean, you pretty much made it to where all your pieces could get out. Kind of like, you know, just whatever your flavor is, as they say, right? But we do see Knight to C3. We got the move D6. You know, this could be letting the bishop out. It also could be like letting the knight come to F6, you know, so that way you can't push E5 on it. So, I mean, it's just a multi-purpose move. We do see bishop to E3. We got the move A6. So we kind of have like a little Sicilian idea going on. You know, black is basically saying, I don't want none of your pieces in here, homie. So don't even try it. So we do see the move queen to D2. Pretty obvious intention of trying to castle queenside. We do see knight to D7. We got the move H4. We got H6, and then we do see long castles by white, like I was saying. We got the move B5. So, you know, even though black hasn't castled yet, we pretty much have like an opposite side castling intention. You know, we got some pawns flying over here, or at least a pawn. And then we have some pawns flying over here. This is a pretty typical like Sicilian or even modern or Pierce type of situation. You know, A6 to B5. You know, you're just leaving the option open to go B4. But it makes a little bit more sense than B6 to just go B5 directly. You know, and then that way, you know, you can get the bishop out and you got a little bit of an attack going over here. You know, especially if you castle kingside, right? So you're not behind in the race. So we do see the move F3. And this is just like super intentionally setting up the move G4, especially if you got a knight coming up here. You know, you got G4 coming, you know, some possible, you know, H5s coming. We do see bishop to B7. We got the move A3. We got rook over to C8, and then we have the move king to B1. And, I mean, G4 has definitely been in the position, but like when you get into these type of situations, even when you're like the level of these players, sometimes it can be kind of tough to figure out at a particular moment if you need to attack or you need to play safely. You know, if you feel like you don't really know which one to do, you know, usually you're going to err on the side of just being safe. So in this particular position here, after bishop to B7, it did make a little more sense to go H5 or G4 in this position. But, you know, Wesley's just like, bro, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just play safe. I mean, it almost never is a bad idea to just play safe, like if all else. But as you guys know, if you attack at the wrong time, you can drastically pay for that, and it's not going to be nice. So, like I said, we did get to this position here. King went to B1. We do see the move C5. And black is not in a hurry to castle at all. They're like, bro, I'm just not going to castle, homie. So, hopefully this is the right decision. It looks okay so far. So we do see pawn taking C5, knight taking C5. We got knight G to E2, and then we do have the novelty of the game, which is knight back to D7. And I mean, basically knight to D7 is just, you know, kind of backing up this knight if it does go to this square. You know, that's pretty much it. I mean, you know, it's never a bad idea to try to make sure your knights are coordinated. So, you know, it's never a bad thing. So we do see knight up to D5. We got the knight G going to F6. Knight takes F6, knight takes F6, like I said. I mean, it wasn't bad to take with the bishop, but I mean, this is a really, really nice placement for the knight. So you kind of want the knight on that type of a square. we do have the move h5. Knight takes h5, and then rook takes h5, and then pawn takes h5. Now, there's something I want to say about this. Now, pushing pawn, letting the knight take, taking with your rook, wasn't the absolute best way to go about playing this position, but this is what I'm going to be telling you. When you are playing a game, and I mean, you happen to be playing two humans against each other, like, more comes into like factoring in what types of moves you should make other than just like what's like absolutely the best by Stockfish. Because as you guys know, we don't play like Stockfish. We don't play like computers. So at the end of the day, you know, something might be objectively bad, but you're playing on the other person's emotions, like you're playing on their time, you're playing on their comfort playing in certain positions. So Wesley deemed in this position that sacrificing and doubling the pawns and, you know, getting a little bit of an initiative in this position was worth sacrificing the rook. So even though, like I said, I mean, it's showing that black is definitely better, it's not like this is really sharp. So it's not like black is just like having like the greatest time ever defending this position. Also, you have to think about too is, you know, the black king has not gotten castled. So it is still in the center of the board. So if you could drum up some type of, you know, attack here, it's definitely worth an exchange. So we just got to see. So the knight does go to g3, and then we do see the move rook over to g8, and black doesn't even try to hold this pawn, and that is actually kind of letting white get back into the game a little bit. So this is what you try to count on. You count on attacking, maybe something slightly worse, but at the end of the day, maybe black doesn't, you know, maybe black doesn't defend correctly, and then, I mean, you're justifying your sacrifice and stuff like that, right? So backing up in the position, before we saw the move rook to g8, like, if you're going to be giving up a pawn, usually, like, you want to try to give it up as dynamically as possible, and maybe it might force your opponent into, like, a worse position. So, for example, if we do go h4, because, like, you're saying, all right, the pawn's going to get lost anyway, I might as well, like, maybe do some structural damage or do some type of, like, attacking with it, like, you know, go down swinging. You know, you would probably possibly see the move knight to f5, and then you can actually put white in the pickle after the move bishop to e5, if they just feel like, ah, man, I'm gonna grab this pawn over here, right? Like, so you're making grabbing the piece come with consequences instead of just giving the piece away for absolutely free. Because in this position, if you do go this, I mean, this is just automatically gonna be this, and I mean, where is this knight going, right? You got this, but I mean, you got the bishop right here. So, I mean, it's not the absolute best scenario for you to be in. So, backing up, like I said, we did see knight to g3, and then black just said, I don't even care about that pawn. It's gone anyway, so he just kind of gave up with the pawn. Went rook to g8, and then we did snap off on h5, which pretty much gets everything to be pretty dead even. You know, and it's definitely an imbalanced position, like I said, with the rooks and then without having the rook. So the bishop does go back to h8. We see the move g4, just making sure that this knight, even though it is on the rim, it's not going to be super grim. We do see the queen going to c7, which isn't like a mate threat because, I mean, you got the queen defending and stuff like that. But why not go c3 and just try to make sure that there's no type of b pawn movements type deal. So we do see the rook going over to d8. And d5 coming up, that's actually kind of a threat, homie. So we do see bishop going to d4. But the unfortunate thing about this particular move is it actually gives a super great initiative to black after the move e5. You haven't really done anything with bishop to d4. All you're doing is having to put it back somewhere else. So if you were going to move the bishop back, so at this particular point, he does go back bishop to f2. If you're going to move the bishop to f2, just move it to f2 immediately and don't give black, you know, the ability to attack your piece with some tempo. So that is one of the issues with this situation. And then d5 did start to come. And I mean, this battery is looking a little bit suspect because you are down the exchange, like I was saying before. So we do have the bishop going to h4. We got the rook over to d7. And then we got queen taking h6. And I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we got to get some type of material back, man. I mean, you know, and then also you're trying to move the queen out of the way so that it doesn't get attacked by this rook. Because even though the king never castled, I mean, you do have a really nice protection of these pieces at this particular point in time. So the pawn does take e4. We got rook taking d7, queen taking d7. And then, I mean, we got to try to get something, man. Like, so we do see knight taking, or knight going to f6 with check, family fork. Bishop takes f6, queen takes f6. And I mean, black is in a really completely dominant position, like pretty much winning. But you do have some things you have to be paying attention to. I mean, you got to make sure that you're not getting mated on e7 or you're not getting mated on d8. So, I mean, you know, you definitely have some stuff that you got to make sure that you're not doing incorrectly, right? So we do see pawn taking f3. And we do see king going to c1. And I mean, king to c1 is actually a pretty useful move because the queen can't really move off of these two squares at the moment because, like I said, you do have these checkmate threats. And these two squares are the only two squares that actually protect all that. Actually, yeah, because you can't go here. I mean, you kind of can go. You can't go here because that's just going to threaten mate. So you really are kind of stuck in these three squares, which, of course, you know, this square isn't even an option because you're just going to drop the queen for free. So one of the things that white really wants to do in this position is actually go bishop to d3 and then bishop to f5 to try to knock the queen away so that we can just simply checkmate. I mean, of course, that's what Wesley wants to do, right? So to start with that, he goes king to c1. The problem is you actually can't go bishop to d3 at the moment because bishop to d3 will result in queen taking d3, and that would be a check. So Wesley was like, bro, I'm going to go ahead and sidestep out of that check, and then now bishop to d3 is live. So we've actually reached a position that if you do want to pause the video and see, there is an absolute best move in this position, and then there's an alternative move that I will accept. If you want to go ahead and pause the video and see what black should do in this position, go ahead and do so. Okay, so I was just telling you guys that white wants to go bishop to d3, bishop to f5, right? So what is an absolutely perfect move to basically shut all of that down? The move that I am looking for in this position is e4. So you have two things with this. Number one, like I said, bishop wants to go to d3 and then transfer to f5, and then basically just go checkmate, win the game, right? Also, two, what do you have in the position if you're black? You have a passed pawn, two passed pawns. Completely passed pawns, right? Connected passed pawns. So push them, right? I mean, that's just absolutely 1000% the thing. Now, backing up in the position, you did, as an alternative move, I would accept king to f8. And that's basically, I mean, you're getting yourself out of the mating threats. There's no mate threat here or here because the king can now sidestep over to g7. It's not the most ideal square to be on, but I mean, you're not getting mated at the end of the day anymore. So those are definitely two of the options, with e4 being just slightly better. But after we see the move king to c1, we do see the move queen to c7. And, I mean, this doesn't allow white to win by any means, but it kind of lets white breathe just a touch. We do see the move a4. We're trying to break things down so we can check and basically crisscross black to death. So we do see bishop to c6 defending against that. The bishop goes down to g3. We got the rook down to g6. And we don't want to have any trades or anything going on, so we definitely don't want to take queen to e5 with check. So we go queen to h8 with check. The king goes down to e7. We see bishop up to d3. And I mean, this is slightly beneficial because it does give tempo to white. I mean, you are attacking this rook. And we kind of have a nice little sneaky move if you're black. And that is the move f2. Like, this is cool because, I mean, you know, you are trying to deflect this bishop. You're trying to deflect this bishop too with this move, because if you can go down here, you're not double attacking this pawn anymore. And it's actually just activating, you know, black quite a bit. If bishop does go to f2, you have the move e4, attacking this bishop and freeing up this queen to move on this diagonal. And that is absolutely what you want if you are black. So, you know, we go ahead and toss this check in first. Bishop goes to h4 check. The king sidesteps over to d6, and this does knock the king in the way of the queen. We got bishop taking f2. We got rook over to e6. Queen going to f8 with check, and the queen going to e7. And we absolutely do not want to trade if you are white in this position. So we do go queen to b8 with check, and then the queen goes over to c7. And we try again, you know, queen to f8 with check. And then that is when black changes their move. And, I mean, it starts to kind of put black in a bind. We got bishop to f5, and so these bishops are kind of slicing and dicing everywhere. And so we do have pawn takes a4, queen goes down to h6 with check. And then we have the move king going to d5, and this is actually a mate in 4. And the crazy thing is, I mean, you guys know that Wesley is pretty strong, man. He literally spots the entire mate in 4. I don't know how much calculation he used, but he literally just like a falcon, who just was like queen to d2 with check, king to c4, queen to c3, d3 with check. The king goes down to b3. We got c4 with check. The king goes to b4, and then queen to c3 is checkmate. And that is the end of that game. Wesley wins this one. So it's rare that you get to see checkmate, because a lot of times people just resign before the checkmate is delivered. But that is that game, taken out of the third game that they played with each other. So it was a pretty nice, it was a pretty roller coaster ride, because, I mean, both players were literally completely winning at certain points. So I mean, it just ended up going in Wesley So's favor. So this is definitely a game that Nihal Sarin is going to be kicking himself for if he ends up losing the battle with Wesley So. And there's a lot of money on the line too. It's like $200,000 or something like that. Like I think to the winner, or 100,000 or something like that. So got some money on the line, son. So yeah, man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Nandi, maraming salamat aking makaibigan. Paalam, and I'll see you guys next time.